I'm Sanjay Sarma. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering at MIT, and I'm the vice president for open learning at MIT. So in the late 90s, RFID had been around for 30, 40 years, but RFID tags used to be really expensive. And if you look at the clunky toll pass in your car, that's sort of what RFID tags used to look like in general. Some of them were smaller, but they were pretty expensive, several dollars, $2, $3. And a few of us, someone called David Brock, who's a research scientist at MIT, and Kevin Ashton, who eventually became a visitor from Procter & Gamble, we came up with the concept of a very low-cost RFID tag in the range of 5 cents. And it seemed like a crazy idea, but our idea was to track everything in the supply chain, pallets in the supply chain, cases in the supply chain, etc. So we started putting together some of the principles behind this. One of the things we also said was one of the reasons tags are expensive today is because you put a lot of data on the tags. And I remember we used to say, someday the internet will be everywhere. This was late 90s. And we didn't have the word cloud yet. So we used to say, someday you can write the data in the cloud, except we used to say, in the sky. So that's how we started going, and it was a crazy idea, but it really struck a nerve. A lot of companies knew that they had too much inventory. They didn't know where their inventory was. Consumers would walk into a retail store and not find the size of shirt they wanted, while that shirt was actually sitting in the back room. Food was going bad. Shelves are sometimes unstocked. Things would get lost in the supply chain. So within about a year, we had some of the major companies in the world coming out and saying, we like your vision. We'd like to sponsor you. And our first 3 sponsors were Procter & Gamble, Gillette, which was at that time across the river, and the Uniform Code Council. And these are the guys who do barcodes worldwide. So we started this in 1998, 1999. 1999 was the 25th anniversary of the Universal Product Code, the barcode. And so the barcode community sort of gathered around us and said, let's do this. We launched at the Smithsonian in September 1999 at the 25th anniversary celebrations. And within the next few years, we developed, along with about 100 sponsor companies, many of them startups, which are heroic. We developed new standards for RFID. We developed new business cases for RFID, new processes for RFID, new manufacturing processes, how to use them in the supply chain. We ended up with over 100 sponsors. Our protocol got adopted by the supply chain industry. Meanwhile, we knew this was now getting too big for MIT, so we transferred the standards making efforts to the Uniform Code Council, which had by then renamed itself GS1. GS1 is a global entity that does barcodes everywhere. So every time you see a barcode, think of GS1. So GS1 took over the standards body. Within GS1, we had an entity called EPC Global. The suite of standards were called the Electronic Product Code. So EPC Global took care of these standards. I joined the board of that. I then became the chairman of the board a few years later. And RFID started taking off. We went through a Gen 1 standard and then a Gen 2. And last year there were probably 10 billion electronic product code or Gen 2 RFID tags worldwide. So that is the story of the Auto ID Center. That first center we established was called the Auto ID Center. After we hived the standards off and transferred them to GS1, that became the Auto ID Labs, and I remain active in that space. In many ways, that effort also laid the groundwork for what is now called the Internet of Things, IoT. So the term IoT really first emerged in that effort, during that effort. So that's a history. Over 100 companies, maybe thousands of people involved, dozens of PhD students, 100 master's students. We established labs around the world. Of course, the headquarters was at MIT, but we had a lab in ETH Zurich, ETH, University of Cambridge, University of Adelaide, Keio University in Japan, Fudan University in China. So really, it turned into a flourishing technology development, standards development, and future-looking effort worldwide.